In America, I've contacted Dr. Umar Johnson, I've contacted Shaka Bars, I contacted Young Pharaoh, I contacted Brother Polite, I contacted Dane Calloway. We try to contact so many people and say, hey, let's have a discussion, brother. They acknowledge that in the land of Canaan, that there were rhinoceroses. There's no rhinoceroses in Israel. There's no giraffes in Israel. I said, how come black people can't do this? How come rich black people can't build the same thing that Stain City has? They can, but the struggle is, why would I come and invest in South Africa or any country in Africa if I'm having so much difficulty getting a permanent visa to stay? I said, why are they so worried about 450 people sitting in Soweto Theater watching this movie? I mean, to the point that they're following me like the FBI. And he said, well, we got a lot of complaints, and we're gonna have to shut it down.
It seems like Adam Silver wanted to hear the word "I apologize," or in your mind, you said, "I didn't mean to cause any harm." Were you apologizing, or did you not apologize?
I didn't mean to cause any harm. I'm not the one that made the documentary.
To know their own name. Why? Because he took it away from them. Please. 20 million black people don't even know their own language. Why? Because he took it away from them. 20 million black people who don't even know the history of their ancestors. Why? Because he took it away from them.
Sorry for the hurt that your post caused people.
It exists because white people think they're better than black people, and they want to oppress us, and they want us to allow ourselves to be oppressed. We're not going to suffer patiently anymore. No more turning the other cheek, no more blessing our enemies, no more praying for those who despitefully use us. We're going to show you that we've learned the lessons you've taught us, we've studied your history, and you did not take over this country by singing "We Shall Overcome." You did not gain control of the world like you have it now by dealing fairly with a man and keeping your word. You're treaty breakers, you're liars, you're thieves, you rape entire continents and races of people. Then you wonder why these very people don't have any confidence or trust in you. Your religion means nothing. Your law is a farce, and we see it every day. You demonstrated it in Alabama. And I can say you because you're part of the whole system. You profit from it. In fact, you make your living from it. You couldn't walk around and talk to people, stand up in your pulpit on Sunday and preach nice little songs and say, now we're going to give thanks to the Lord for he is good and old Jesus be among us. As far as we're concerned, your Jesus is contaminated, just like everything else you tried to force upon us is contaminated.
Do you, I guess, understand or not understand those that might imply that that work had anti-Semitic leanings in it? I only ask this because the tweet is still up there, so
We're in 2022. It's on Amazon, a public platform. Whether you want to go watch it or not is up to you. There's things being posted every day. I am no different than the next human being, so don't treat me any different. You guys come in here and make up this powerful influence I have over top of the adultery of, oh, you cannot post that.
Black man. Look like he got dreads. Leave the Sunday churches, please. You're being lied to.
In 1943, the following directive was issued from party headquarters to all communists in the United States. It read, when certain obstructionists become too irritating, label them after suitable build-ups as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic.
Hello hustlers, welcome to another exciting episode of the Hustlers Corner. We've got a guest who's not a stranger to the platform. We did an incredible interview, I think it was early last year, if not the year before, about a year ago or so, if I'm not mistaken. And we had a great conversation. Go check it out if you haven't seen that one, where I was hanging out with him. We had a very lengthy conversation. And for you to even be in understanding on this episode, I think it'll help you best if you go back to go watch that episode. Like, share, subscribe, become a part of the family. Thank you so much for tuning in. Catch me Monday to Friday on the morning show, the Radio 2000 Breakfast Show. That is my brand new show. Yes, I am back on radio if you don't know, but you can catch me and wake up with me, go to work with me, go to school with me, 6 to 9 in the morning on South Africa's Radio 2000, which is a national radio platform. So I'm very excited about that one. And I'm very excited to be speaking to you every morning on the radio. And then as and when here on the internet. Ronald Dalton Jr. is no stranger to the podcast, as I've already said. He's a producer, he is a writer, he is conscious, loves the African continent and its people, loves our people. He loves our people like crazy. He's also an entrepreneur, and he's somebody who is spreading his incredible message all over the world. Filmmaker, producer, writer, narrator, you name it, in the creative space. He is our guy, Mr. Ronald Dalton Jr. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
It's been quite some time. Good to see you again.
I'm glad to be here, and I got a lot to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you cut your dreadlocks?
No, it's still there. I just put them in the back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you had longer dreadlocks the last time.
No, actually it was shorter last time.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
How is your health? How's family? How are you feeling?
Family's good. We're all here, and I'm healthy. Lost some weight since last year, and continuously doing the work on the Most High and the films and the books, and then trying to spread the message here in Africa, starting with South Africa, and it hasn't been without a lot of challenges from a specific community here, just like in America. Yeah.
I thought things would probably be easier now that you had been here for a while. You probably have created some relationships, etc.
Yeah, in terms of living here and just settling in South Africa, that's been great. It's easy to do what I do anywhere in the world. As a filmmaker, all I need is a computer and a camera and editing program and B-roll and content to shoot and to talk about. So doing that in Africa is easy, but in terms of getting the message out and the content into distribution avenues, that's the difficulty that I have. And we know that with distribution, you can use YouTube, you can use social media, you can use Amazon, you can use Netflix, Showmax, but at the end of the day, when you are a filmmaker and you have a title or a content or production, then you gotta have a place that you can show it at, either in a theater, a hall, or on a platform like Netflix or Amazon, or even my own platform. So the main thing here in South Africa is to get a lot of people in one building at the same time and get them to see the movie that I made in one setting, so that they don't have to, download the app. They don't have to worry about, do I have enough data? Is my internet strong enough to stream the movie? Do I have to worry about load shedding? They can just come to the theater and they can sit down and with other people and then see the movie for the first time. These things are quite difficult in South Africa in regards to trying to show the movie here last year, and then this year has also been a struggle as well, because there's people that are a minority in this country that do not want people here to see my movies. And likewise in America, like we did the last interview, the whole issue with the American thing when Kyrie Irving shared the movie link on Amazon was that the Jewish community, they were not happy with the movie, and the whole American mass media was up in arms, and they really condemned and punish Kyrie Irving for simply sharing a link to a movie that he was looking at to find more about his identity, his heritage as an African American. A lot of us search for our identity, and when he seen the movie, he got something out of it, and he felt the need to share it to his millions of followers. And when he did that, I think the issue was the title of the movie and the content in the movie. The movie, it's not like it said from Egyptians to Negroes, because if the movie would have been that title, the Jewish community wouldn't care. They don't care if we say we're the descendants of the ancient Egyptians, we're descendants of the ancient Kush Empire. We could say we're the descendants of ancient Indians or aliens or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's the title, Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. And they had the black fist up with the chain and the pyramids in the back. That alone shook up America. And inside the content, obviously, is going to be a connection between the ancient Hebrews or the Israelites and Negroes or the Bantu people, because Negro is a byword. And we have to understand that when you look at Hollywood, when we look at a lot of the movies that are distributed on Netflix in the theaters, you look at the director, you look at the executive producer, you look at the producer, you look at the creator, you look at those that are the distributors of the movie. The distributors of the movie is the only reason why we see Bad Boys, Fast and Furious, Harriet, 12 Years a Slave, and all these movies in the theaters, in Ster-Kinekor, in Monte Casino, in Mall of Africa, in Santa Mall. The only reason why we are able to see these movies is because of distribution outlets. The same thing when we go stream on Amazon or Netflix, Showmax. They are the ones that control what we are allowed to see. This is a known fact. Mm-hmm. I mean, in America, when I look at Netflix, I don't see the same thing that I see on Netflix in South Africa. In America, when I look at Amazon, I don't see the same thing that I see on Amazon in South Africa. So there's things in South Africa that I'm seeing. Obviously, in South Africa, there's a lot of South African films that are shown to you on Netflix and Amazon here. But when you go to America, the only thing we might see is Blood and Water, Queen Sono, Kings of Joburg, and that's it. And so you have to ask yourself, all these filmmakers that are making content in South Africa, if their movies are not being shown on Netflix in America, in American households, on TV, then the movie or the series can be a big hit in South Africa, and the people can be well known. But then if they were to come to America, nobody would know who they are. Mm. Obviously, the girls that played in Blood and Water, since it was a big hit in America, if they walked in the mall or out somewhere in America or came to a party and they were at the party as a guest, then everybody would know who they are because we see them in America. So likewise, the content that we see in America in terms of the educational films that we get in America are all based on comedy, entertainment, drama, horror, sci-fi. Sometimes we have documentaries or movies based on historical past. For Black people in America, these documentaries or movies based on history or Black history is usually about the slave trade and civil rights and segregation, Jim Crow laws, the Black Codes Law, which is similar to apartheid. In America, the blacks had to use a certain water fountain. They had to use a certain restroom. They couldn't go to certain areas. They couldn't eat in certain areas. They couldn't go to certain schools. They couldn't, be out at a certain time at night in a certain area, or you might have the lynch mob come and get you and hang you on a tree. So, you know, these are the kind of movies that we see and content we see in America that doesn't really give us any inkling on who we are, other than we know that we came from Africa, and we are called African Americans, or before that we were called Negroes or colored. You know, so, you know, even when you go to the Christian church, you know, in the Christian church, we see white Jesus. We see in the Sunday school lessons for the kids, we see coloring books for all the biblical characters and even the angels, and God is white. And so we don't know, even learning history in the Bible, who we are in the Bible or who we are, period. And so the movie Hebrews to Negroes was the first in its kind, in that it's a 3.5 hour long documentary, and it proves that our ancient ancestry and heritage goes back to the ancient Israelites of the Bible, the same people that left with Moses out of Egypt, and they did not cross the Red Sea. They crossed the Nile River. And a lot of the stuff that I talk about in the movies points to a different narrative, meaning that the Israelites were people of color. Abraham and his forefathers were people that had melanin. The land of Canaan, or the land of Israel, is not in modern day Israel today. We have been deceived greatly by the translations and authorizations and the European narrative that they give us in terms of history of the Bible, which is Bantu history. But they've doctored it, they changed it so that you don't see anymore the word rhinoceros in the Bible. You don't see anymore the word giraffe in the Bible. You don't see the word zebra in the Bible. You don't see a lot of these words. You will see lions and leopards and ostriches and hyenas and jackals and wild dogs, and you'll see the impala and the antelope and the deer and many different animals that are in Africa currently, and they're indigenous to Africa. And so a lot of these things is pointed out in the movies, and even on my streaming platform, H2N And you know, one of the things that I noticed back in 2022 is that when I did have a YouTube channel, because back in 2 years ago I was banned from YouTube.
Is it?
Yeah, banned from YouTube.
Okay.
And I tried to create other channels, and each time after one video post, shut that channel down. And I even tried other emails from other people, and one video post, boom, and then within a day, the video taken down, strike, channel gone. And you know, years prior to that, you know, I was banned on Facebook, and the only reason why I was on Facebook was because this guy said, "Ryan, you need to get on Facebook. You need to start posting the same stuff you post on Instagram on Facebook." And I started doing that. So everything that I would post on Instagram, I would do the same thing on Facebook. And then the numbers of engagement and impressions started to skyrocket. And then after a while, I started getting, you know, community guideline strikes, Facebook jail, and then they just eliminated my ability to post, period. So Facebook, YouTube, and then later came Clubhouse, because I was active on there. Then, you know, severe shadow banning on Twitter and TikTok. And then also, at the time, I had a GoFundMe campaign. And the GoFundMe campaigns, they shut that down. They said due to security reasons, we had to shut all your accounts down. So, you know, what I learned from 2022 is that, one, Kyrie Irving simply posted a link to a movie. He didn't say anything, he just posted a link. And he was ordered to pay $500,000 for that. he was ordered to get anti-sensitivity or get sensitivity training by the rabbis. He was ordered to sit down with the rabbis and get re-educated on the Holocaust and Jewish history, on their history, not our history. He was suspended from the NBA. He lost his $10 million plus deal with Nike. He went through a lot of things at the time that I think Kanye West was also going through. But he had to do all these things in addition to deleting the tweet that he did. So as a grown man, he used his own mind to tweet. And he has the NBA and the ADL and the mass media all coming down on him with the cameras. The tweet is still up. The tweet is still up. And so he deleted the tweet. He deleted what he initially did with his own mind. And then, of course, in order to get back into NBA, he had to apologize. And a lot of black people in America, they go on an apology campaign. If they say anything what the Jewish community thinks to be out of line, they have to apologize. Nick Cannon, Whoopi Goldberg, LeBron James, Jamie Foxx, Kyrie Irving, Kanye West, Rihanna, 21 Savage. There's so many people I can just go down the list that if they say anything that is deemed to be in the public eye or in the Jewish eye as anti-Semitic, they have to apologize for what they said. As a grown man, you have to apologize to the world in front of the public for saying that I cannot be anti-Semitic because I am Shemitic. I am an Israelite. I am a Jew. They don't accept us saying that. They don't accept us saying Jesus was a black Jew. Jesus was a black Israelite. I am a black Jew. Therefore, I cannot be anti-Semitic. That's not good enough. So you have to apologize. And if you don't, they make an example of you by taking away everything that you have achieved in America under their guidance, because you can't bite the hand that feeds you. And so, these are things that in America, I think that we missed a huge opportunity to show that black people in America are united and that we stand with each other. Because during that time, when Kyrie was going through everything he was going through, not one person in the NBA, retired and active. So we have a lot of retired NBA players like Michael Jordan, James Worthy, Magic Johnson, Shaq, so many people that are retired and are still living. Isaiah Thomas, they all follow basketball. They know who the good players are. Stephon Curry, LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, but they did not stand up for this brother and say that, what you're doing to this guy is wrong. He didn't say anything. He just posted a link to the movie. And, he's not the one that made the documentary. Amazon is still selling the documentary online, and it's a public platform.
Is it still up?
It's still up.
On Amazon?
Yep.
Okay.
And Amazon is the #1 streaming platform in the world. Kyrie Irving is getting in trouble for a movie that he did not make that's selling on Amazon to this day. But the irony is Amazon's not getting in trouble. Amazon didn't lose any money. In fact, Amazon made money. And the person that made the documentary, me, I didn't, outside of what they did in terms of the banning, I didn't receive any phone calls to debate. We want to debate you and prove you wrong. We want to shut you down. We want to shut you up and prove that what you're saying holds no merit and is inaccurate. Nobody wanted to interview me at the time. Nobody wanted to even say my name on live TV. Nobody wanted to say the name of the film on live TV. They always referred to it as the book, the film, the anti-Semitic book, film based off of an anti-Semitic book, anti-Semitic film. And I noticed that this was a strategy because they know that when people are looking at the news a lot of times the job of the reporter is to give and report the information and the facts. So if Mel Gibson does The Passion of the Christ, and in The Passion of the Christ, according to the Bible, in the New Testament, the Jews offer up Christ to be tried by Pontius Pilate, and then he's crucified, and then he's killed. And when you insinuate that the Jews killed Christ in the movie Passion of the Christ by Mel Gibson, that can be considered to be anti-Semitic. But when Mel Gibson did that film and he was under attack by the Jewish community, they all said on the news, Mel Gibson's film, Passion of the Christ, blah, blah, blah. And in this token, with my movie, they didn't say the name, and they didn't say my name, and they really did they want you to see the actual picture of the movie or the book, because then as viewers in front of the TV, then you can look, you can say, okay, I see the name of the movie, I see the subtitle, and let me go look it up. So they did that to kind of make sure that not a lot of people saw the movie, because their intentions was to not let it spread as much as it did. But by drawing attention to it on the mass media, until Kyrie apologized, then they realized that, hey, either we're going to kick him out of the NBA. If we do that, now there's going to be a big thing, because people is going to ask questions. What would make a man lose his whole career in the NBA as one of the best players in the NBA over a movie? What is it about this movie that caused this man to lose his whole career?
What is it?
About the movie? The movie...
And sorry to throw you away from your train of thought. You can finish your point, and then we can get in there.
The movie, the subtitle of the movie is Wake Up Black America. It's not only just a teaching of who we are, our identity, but it goes into a lot of other things that in America can be considered conspiracy. But it comes a time in when people can say things are conspiracy, but when you produce the facts and the information that cannot be denied, then no longer can you keep saying it's conspiracy, it's hearsay, it's fabrication. Because in the movie, in the books, I give the facts, the information, the research that proves that everything that I'm saying is true. And they know this, and this is the reason why nobody will come against the movie or the book or me in terms of a debate, because they know that a lie can't win over truth. But we're used to receiving a lot of miseducation and lies a lot of times in the media and in America, and we're used to it, and we're used to receiving the same narrative. So, after all these things happened, I knew that they were not going to allow me to keep a channel on YouTube. I could already see all the comments. I could already see the people that were getting acquainted with myself and H2N TV.com, and they were subscribing and they were signing up. And on my platform, I actually go into deeper lessons proving a lot of things that I say. So they didn't want this independent platform that I had to start gaining traction, because now I'm not depending on Amazon solely for distribution and to spread information. Now I'm not solely dependent on YouTube to get information to my followers. Now I actually have my own platform that I can direct people to where they can get all Hebrews to Negroes content. And this is the reality of a lot of these things is, one, when you're a distributor on Netflix and Amazon, and let's say 1 million people watched your movie, Amazon and Netflix is not going to give you the data of all the people that bought your movie. They're not going to give you the email. They're not going to give you the name. So you can create a database, and when you come out with another movie, you can just say, hey, I got another movie. It's on this platform. Check it out. They don't allow you to do that, and that's to control you on just going to Netflix and seeing what's on Netflix. If it's not on Netflix, if it's not on Amazon, if it's not on Showmax, you're not going to see it, because most filmmakers are not going to put their high-level production content on YouTube. They're not going to do that. They want to make money. So they understand the concept of containing and controlling your followers or your following. And by Kyrie doing what he did and drawing all those people to H2N TV, like I saw my subscription level skyrocket, and I saw the views on YouTube skyrocket, and they were all looking at, okay, he has this website, he has this website, he has this streaming platform, oh, he has a second movie, he has a third movie, he has 4 books, and the books are on Amazon. And they started to going in different directions to find information on Hebrews to Negroes. And although my channel only had like 30 to 40,000 people at the time, the threat was that they didn't want too many people in America to get the information, and then for me to have a constant access to, let's say, 1 million people that now I have their emails because they subscribe to H2N TV, and I have that on my platform. They don't like that because that's marketing power. And the whole reason why they were upset with Kyrie is because they said, well, Kyrie has 15 million followers on Instagram, and he promoted this movie. And the movie simply is a biblical documentary about Black history. And they show their hand in America that they don't want Black people to wake up, because it's Hebrews to Negroes, wake up Black America. So the number one threat, in my opinion, to the community, the Jewish community in America, is the movie Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. When I left and came here, I didn't think I was going to come into challenges. But when I came here, I realized that there's powers and forces that are in South Africa that control things. And anybody can do a Google search, and they can just look online, and they can see that the most richest cities in Africa are Durban, Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Pretoria. These are the 4 biggest, richest cities in Africa. And when you look at the most richest people in South Africa, they're Jewish. And this is not being racist. This is not being, having prejudice. It's a known fact that some of the richest billionaires and millionaires in South Africa are Jewish. I mean, this is a known fact. So, but the population percentage of South Africa Jews are less than 1%. So they're not even 1% of the population. But when I came to South Africa and I tried to show the movie at Monte Casino Theater, I received a huge backlash. And at the time, I know that you received some heat about not speaking at the Dr. Umar event, and then coming to speak at our showing at Soweto Theater. But prior to Soweto Theater, we had booked the Monte Casino Theater, the IMAX Theater 11, the same theater that I think they premiered the Shaka Ilembe series. That theater I booked, paid the money, signed a contract with Sakina Kaur, and we were advertising with flyers. The flyer said Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Africa. And we were advertising in Joburg and Soweto, and 10 days before we were actually going to have the event, I think it was May the 20th. Tsogo's son made an executive level decision. They emailed Sterkinakor and said, as of today, you are to cancel your contract with Mr. Dalton and not allow the showing of the movie Hebrews to Negroes at Monte Casino. And I asked Sterkinakor, I said, what's the reason? Because in the contract that I have with you, it states the reason why me or you can cancel the contract. And I said, I don't see anywhere that they have given me a reason why they are canceling the screening. I paid my money, I signed a contract with you, so therefore why is Tsogo's son telling you guys to cancel this screening? And Sterkinakor said, the executive manager said, we don't know, just like you don't know. We're all confused on to why they would ban this film or stop this film from showing. And it was disheartening because we had spent a lot of money on advertising, and I was posting on social media. And I found out later that Tsogo's son, or Southern Son, was founded by a Jewish man named Solomon Kirzner. And so when you look at Stanton Mall, you see Sun. When you look at Sun City, when you look at Monte Casino, casinos, hotels, entertainment, you know, all these things, restaurants, you know, a lot of this stuff is founded by a Jewish man. This is a known fact. Anybody can look this up. And 3 days after they canceled the Monte Casino Theater, the South African Jewish Board of Deputies filed a complaint with the South African Film and Publications Board. And the complaint was Mr. Dalton should not be allowed to show this movie in South Africa because the movie is not rated, it's not approved. And so it took them until we booked the event at Soweto Theater. The crazy thing is that after they shut us down in Monte Casino, I had called Pretoria State Theater, or just inquired. Then at that time, I got a phone call from Prince Africa Zulu, and he said, I heard African American share with me the struggles that you're having showing your movie, and he said, what's going on? And I told him. He said, well, I know the general manager of Pretoria State Theater, let's give him a call. And we gave him a call, and he sounded reluctant on the phone when we were asking him about showing the movie at the theater. And later that day when I got home, I had received the email from another South African friend, and he had informed me that the Jews had already sent an email to Pretoria State Theater general manager saying these are the reasons why you should not allow this film to be shown at the theater, because it's this, anti-Semitic, blah, blah, blah. And so, you know, that was, I could see already that this was not going to go as planned. So then I went to Soweto Theater. When I went to Soweto Theater, I talked to the GM and the team there, and I said, do you have any availability on any weekends? And they said, yes, we do. And I said, well, can I book it? And they said, yeah, you can. And I said, can I pay it today? And he said, yes, you can. I said, if I pay today and sign contract, is there anybody that can come along and call you or send an email, and then you tell me that I got to cancel it, that you got to cancel it? He said, no. And I said, you sure? Because the Jews just shut me down in Monte Casino, or Tsogo's son. And he said, no, this is owned by the city of Joburg, and the Jews don't own Soweto Theater. So no, you pay the money, you sign the contract, you're good to go, don't worry. I said, okay. And so we did that. And mind you, we hadn't even created the flyers for Soweto Theater. Within less than 24 hours, I don't know how the Jews found out, but they contacted the general manager and the artistic manager of Soweto Theater. I get an email and phone call saying that the GM wants you to come back to Soweto Theater. He wants to have a meeting. And I said, we were just there. And I just got the email from the marketing team. The marketing team is ready to market your stuff on the website, at Drew Belani Mall, at Maponya Mall. And I'm saying, what's going on now? So we just need you to come and meet with us. And I said, the next day? He said, yes. So we drive back to Soweto and we meet with the lady. And she says, how's everything going? I said, everything's going good, but I already know what you're going to say. And she starts laughing. She said, oh, no, you don't. I said, yes, I do. And so we go up the elevator and we go to like the 3rd floor. We go into the room and we sit down. And then the general manager, he says, man, he says, I don't understand why there's such an issue with your movie. Because I heard that you told me that, or I heard that you shut down at Monte Casino. And he said, what is the movie called? And what is it about? And I told him. And he said, well, we got some phone calls. And I said, within less than a day? And he said, he started laughing. And I said, but this is serious. I said, because I didn't advertise this. And he said, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. He said, how you was just here yesterday, so how could you make flyers and advertise within 24 hours? And I said, yeah, so why am I here? And he said, well, the masses are not happy with this movie being shown here.
The masses? The
masses. And I said, who are the masses here? Let's all just talk about this. And he said, I said, are the masses black people? He says, yes. And I said, well, are black people in South Africa angry with this movie being shown here? How did they find out? And he said, well, actually, it's not the masses. I said, but you just told me it's the masses. He said, yes, that's what the email says. I said, well, who are the masses, according to the email, that's upset with me showing the movie here? And this lady said, I have it. And she started reading. And she says, the Embassy of the Jewish People, the South African Jewish Board of Deputies. And I said, huh? I said, the Embassy of Israel and the South African Jewish Board of Deputies? And she says, yes. I said, do they have a name? Is there a name somewhere? And she says, Benjamin, and she couldn't read the last name. And I said, this is crazy. I said, how in the world am I now in Soweto Theater? I just got blocked at Monte Casino. Now I'm in Soweto Theater. Soweto Theater only holds about 450 seats. I said, why are they so worried about 450 people sitting in Soweto Theater watching this movie? I mean, to the point that they're following me like the FBI. And he said, well, we got a lot of complaints, and we're gonna have to shut it down. And I said, but didn't you tell me yesterday? I said, didn't you tell me yesterday that nobody could shut this down? And he said, yes, we did say that. And some of the ladies that were there yesterday, the day before, I said, didn't you say that? And she put her head down. She couldn't even look me in the eye. And I said, so let me get something clear here. I said, the Jewish people are immigrants to South Africa. They're not the majority people. I said, so how in the world do they have the power to tell black people in South Africa and me and you that I can't show the movie here? How is that possible? I said, do we have the power or do they have the power? And they didn't say anything. I said, in China, who has the power? The Chinese or the black people that's there? Because there's black people in China. They're not a lot, but they're there. The Chinese have the power. I said, in India, who has the power? The Indian people or the black people that live in India? The Indians have the power. In America, who does black Americans have power in America? Or is it white America? Because the majority population is white. I said, we don't have no power. If we did, why would we be complaining about civil rights and injustice and poverty and all these other things? And I said, it seems as though we don't have power and they have the power. And he said, well, I said, this is crazy. And they had nothing to say. They were all quiet, just sitting there like this. And I said, you know what? I said, if I have to take legal action against you breaching the contract and stopping my contract for no valid reason, I said, I'm gonna have to take legal action against you, Soweto Theater. Not the Jews, not the South African Jewish Board of Deputies, not the Embassy of Israel, because I signed a contract with Soweto Theater, not the Jews. And they sat there and it was quiet. So then we left. I said, this is messed up. I said, I can't believe this. I said, I'm gonna let people in America know that this is what's happening in South Africa, a black country. And you know, I hope it blows up, because people need to see what's going on. So then the next day, they emailed me and said, we had a discussion, we talked about it, and we're going to allow you to show your movie. We don't want legal action taken against us. And I said, okay. And he said, but wait. I said, what? He said, well, we have some stipulations that we have to follow. And I said, what? And he said, well, we can't advertise your movie on the website. And I said, so that means that people can't buy tickets on the website? And he said, no. And I said, he said, we can't advertise at Jubilee Mall and Mapanya Mall. And I said, so what am I paying for? Like any other paying client, I said, I don't get the same service as anybody else that books the theater for a play or a presentation. He says, no. He says, no, you don't get the same service. And I said, well, then can I get a refund? Can I get some kind of a discount because I'm not getting the same service? You're telling me that I had to sell tickets on a third-party site. I have to advertise on my own. You're not going to advertise. So basically, if somebody goes to Soweto Theater website, they're not going to see anything about the event. And he says, correct. And I said, okay, well, forget it. I said, if that's what I got to do to show the movie here, then so be it. And I didn't want to do it, but I did it. And so I kept with the contract with stipulations. That wasn't enough, because shortly after that, the Jews complained again. And this time the compliance officer for the South African Film and Publications Board, she came to Soweto Theater in person. And she says, I need to speak to Ronald Dalton, the filmmaker. And they said, well, he can call him on this number. So they called me and they said, well, you can't show your film here. And I said, why? She says, because your film is not rated. I said, it's rated in America. And she said, well, it's not rated here. And I said, okay, what I got to do to get it rated? And she says, you got to pay an application fee. You got to submit an application. We have to watch your film in the committee, and then we'll let you know. I said, how long does it take, the turnaround time? She says, about 10 days. And I said, okay. And I said, who complained to you guys? Because you are the complaint officer. And she says, well, it's not really important. And I said, but it is important, because somebody filed a complaint against me in the movie, and I need to know. And she says, oh, I can't tell you their names. And I said, well, is it black people? And she says, no. And I said, is it Indians? And she says, no. And I said, is it Chinese? She says, no. I said, is it the Arabs? She says, no. I said, is it the Jews? She says, yes. I said, is there anybody else? And she says, yes. And I said, are they non-Jewish Caucasians or white people? And she says, yes. And I said, oh. I said, so not only did you get complaints from the Jews or the South African Jewish and Publications Board, but you got a complaint from non-Jewish Caucasians, a group, I don't know. And so I submitted everything to get the film rated, and each day after 10 days, I will follow up. And I say, hey, the premiere is happening on this date. I need to know what's going on. So it wasn't until the day before the event, I think it was June the 10th, I called them and I said, hey, did you get a rating yet? And they said, no. And I said, well, tomorrow is the screening. And he said, well, you don't think you're gonna get the rating? And he kind of laughed, he kind of chuckled. And I said, well, it's the day before the event. I said, are you open on Saturdays? He said, no, but don't worry, Mr. Dalton, we're working on it and you're gonna get it. And I said, okay, because they're not gonna allow me to show the movie at the theater, because they told me if I did, and they were notified, that they can call the authority, the police, and shut it down, and I would be in trouble. So then, the day of the movie event, there was an earthquake in Johannesburg,
I remember the earthquake last year.
Yeah, and a lot of people that were going to come, they couldn't come because it caused a crack in the wall, in the window. And so we drove there, and halfway there to Soweto, I get a phone call, and the guy says, your film has been approved, and it's a 16P, or 16 prejudice. And I said, can I get it in writing? He says, yes. And he emailed to me. I called the theater. We got there. We had the premiere, and you were there. We had some people from the Congo that were there. There were professors in ancient Hebrew and the Congo language. They were there. And afterwards, we had a little event happen where one of our videographers was robbed. He was followed home.
He was robbed after the movie?
Yeah,
okay.
He was followed home to his house, and they took the footage. So we only had 3 cameras. One of the cameras that had a lot of the footage of me talking, the Congo presentation on the ancient Hebrew that they found in the Congo caves. This Hebrew script is the oldest Hebrew script to date, meaning it's the type of Hebrew script that Moses and the Israelites used before they got to Mount Sinai. So this type of ancient Hebrew script was found in the Congo, in the caves. And they were breaking it all down. They were showing the connection between the Congo culture and tradition and language to ancient Hebrew, the ancient Israelites, and also the Egyptians. And they even touched on the Ark of the Covenant and the Mani Congo, or the king of the Congo, because when the Portuguese came, they dismantled the kingdom of the Congo, which was many different areas like Angola and Cameroon and Gabon, DRC, RC. So yeah, after that, we had that issue. We lost the footage. I don't know why that happened, but it happened. And even to this day, like even after that happened, the Jews kept fighting, and they had their lawyers push to ban the movie. So they filed a petition to ban the movie, and they used section 8 in the rule book.
This is global or in South Africa?
South Africa.
Okay.
And so I had to respond to the annexure. They had these annexures, annexure A, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, all the way down to I think 10.6. I had to address all their claims, all their allegations, all the things that they said is the reason why this film needs to be banned in South Africa. And so I did that, and I had a meeting on Zoom with the South African Film and Publications Board, and I was in America at the time, and so then in November of last year, I got the verdict, and I defeated them. And I thought everything was done, but in January 29th of this year, the Jews came to the South African Film and Publications Board. They came to the office in Centurion, and they offered up presentations, and they told them that you guys need to re-watch the film again and re-rate the film, because we don't agree with the current rating that your committee already gave. So a committee already sat down and they looked at the film, and they said the film is a 16P rating. Done. The Jews, within 2 months, they said, no, you guys made a mistake. This film needs to be banned. So then they used section 9. This is a different section. And so I just was there like a month ago, less than a month ago. And I said, what is the issue now? Because I was at their office in Centurion, and I said, what is the issue now? I just defeated them. They said, well, they're using section 9, and section 9 reads this. And I said, okay, so what do I got to do now? She said, well, you got to come back, you got to you gotta defend yourself in your movie, and then we gotta watch your movie another time. And I said, you already watched it one time. He said, we gotta watch it again. And I said, okay, so if I defeat them a second time, and they're using section Article 9, what's the next step if they don't want to give up? He said, okay. He said, next is section 10. And I said, after section 10, what's next? If they don't like the decision that you made and they want to continue to ban the movie, I said, what's next? He said, the High Court. And I said, what if they lose at the High Court? He said, the Supreme Court. And I said, what if I defeat them in the Supreme Court? He said, well, the only person above the Supreme Court is the president of South Africa. And I said, do you think that they'll do that? And he said, well, you see that we're here. And I said, well, has South Africa ever banned a movie documentary, like just in general? And they said, no. Never in history have the South African Film and Publications Board banned a documentary. And I said, really? And he says, yes. And I said, this entity is owned by the government, right? He says, yes. He said, we've had instances where we were asked to put, I think it's a XR rating, and that was for child pornography, or something that deals with sexual immorality in kids, like child molestation. And I said, okay. And I said, but what are the Jews seeking by coming to you? And he says they are seeking an XX rating. And I said, what is the XX rating? He said, essentially that would mean that your film is banned in South Africa, and meaning that you cannot exhibit it, you cannot distribute it. If me and you wanted to show the movie in our house or in our backyard and bring an audience in, if somebody notified them, then they could either arrest us or give us a fine. And I said, wow. And he says, yep, that's the charge. And I said, if this was to happen, this would be the first time in the history of the world where Hebrews to Negroes is banned. Because it's not banned in Israel, it's not banned in America, it's not banned in Ghana, it's not banned in Nigeria, it's not banned in the United Kingdom, it's not banned in Australia. So South Africa could be the first country in the world to ban this movie. And I said to him, why, if you're not in poverty, if the Jews are not in poverty in South Africa, you know, when I drive around and I look at certain areas, and I see impoverished areas, I said, I know the Jews ain't living there. It's black people. I can see it with my own eyes. So if the Jews in South Africa are well off and they're rich and they own businesses, then why would they care about black people in South Africa seeing a movie? Adults, why would they care? I mean, it's just 400 people in the theater looking at a movie. It's not 60 million South Africans seeing the movie. We got to ask ourselves this question: why do they not want South Africans to see this movie so bad? Because I went through the same thing in America, and this is the conclusion that I came up with, is that this movie is the #1 threat to, in my opinion, to the Jews, because knowledge is power, and we have to understand that whoever controls our history controls our future. When they colonized Africa, they came with the missionaries. They sent the missionaries into the heart of Africa, into the Congo, into Rwanda, into Kenya, into Ghana. And then they came with the troops. They came with the gun. They came with the sword. And they came to indoctrinate, not just religious indoctrination with the Bible, but they also came and said, now you have to learn our language. You have to learn our education system, the Cambridge system. the British, whatever system that they use in Ghana, in South Africa, the British system, the Cambridge system. We have to learn these things. We have to write in our script. You're not writing in your own script. So no matter what country you go to in Sub-Saharan Africa, the Nigerians are not going to write in their own script, in their own alphabet. They're going to use the English Latin-based alphabet. But the Chinese have their own alphabet. The Japanese have their own alphabet. The Indians have their own alphabet. When you look at in Europe, you see Latin, Germanic languages, Slavic languages. We go to even the Native American Indians have their own alphabet. But the Bantu people don't have our own alphabet. We use the colonizers' alphabet. And when we write our words in our mother tongue, we're using their alphabet. So I think that the issue is that they don't want us to know our true heritage, because the true heritage of who we are can unite us and connect us. Because at the end of the day, when you check the DNA of a Zulu man, an Igbo man, a Mandinka man, a Kikuyu man, or a Bakongo man, a Shona man, a Venda man, an African American, an Haitian, a Jamaican, you're going to see that our DNA is the same from the mother and the father. So we're all connected. And when you trace back our DNA, it's traced back to one ancestral forefather whose origin and the nation of these people started in Egypt. You can trace this with DNA. And this nation, this birth of a nation or Bantu people came out of Egypt and migrated south and scattered and dispersed into different areas in sub-Saharan Africa. And the interesting thing that I talk about in the movies and the books is that our culture, well, the Bantu people's tradition and their custom and language all can be connected to ancient Hebrew and ancient Egyptian, more so the Hebrew culture and tradition with some Egyptian borrowings. And so we have to ask ourselves, if we are the living descendants of the Bible story or the story of the Israelites, then we don't know this because they don't want us to know this.
Why is that a threat to anybody, though?
Because the Abrahamic religions, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, are all based off the Old Testament, the stories of the beginning, and then Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses. And if you tie
the sons of Abraham, right?
Yeah. If you tie the sons of Ishmael, Abraham's son, to the black Arabs in North Sudan, Khartoum, Sudan, and you say, wait a minute, the real Arabs are the black Arabs in North Sudan that speak Arabic. If the real sons of Jacob that we base our Bible, our Quran, and the Tanakh off of, if it's us, and if we are dwelling in the true land of Canaan, or the land of milk and honey, or the land that was renamed Israel, then based on the majority religion, Christianity and Islam, we have to understand that although they translated a lot of the Bible, they authorized it, they changed things around, that no matter what they did, there's still a spiritual connection between us and the Creator, or God, because we are His chosen people. And because we are His chosen people, He gave us the plan for the past. He gave us the plan in the past, which we didn't obey. And because of this, we can see why we are in the condition we are in the present. And the prophecies tells us what is going to happen to us in the future if we decide to go on this path or this path. But in order to know what path to take, or the correct path to take, you have to understand who you are. If you don't understand who you are and where you come from, then somebody else that controls the narrative, that controls the history, can move you into a path to where they want you to be, which is enslavement. It's enslavement of the mind, enslavement of the body, enslavement of our economics, enslavement on so many levels. And this is where we're at right now in the continent of Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa. And to unlock a lot of these things, and for the land of the Bantu people to be healed, and for us to prosper in this land, we have to unlock our hidden heritage. And this is the reason why the Catholic Church and the Jews and even the Arabs, they don't want you to push a narrative that these ancient biblical characters are black, and that you are the descendants of these ancient biblical characters. So we stay in a state of confusion, and we don't know who we are, and we don't know who we are. We're not going to know where we're going, and we're going to be always on the bottom. No matter how much an individual, a black person makes money and rises to the top, but the overall black or Bantu nation is always going to be subjugated to the dominance of anybody that comes into this country. It can be the British, the French, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the Belgian, then it can be the Chinese, then it can be the Arabs, then it can be the East Indians, and then it can be the Russians. And one of the things we have to also understand is that outside of the knowledge that they don't want us to have, they don't want black people in America, in the diaspora, to connect back to their homeland. The United Nations signed charters with every country. In the beginning, it started off with the countries that were free, which were South Africa and Ethiopia, and I think Liberia at the time. But as each country obtained their independence, they had to sign the United Nations Charter. And shortly after a certain period of time, after the United Nations was formed, at first it was the League of Nations, then it was the United Nations, then we had the visa system, we had the passport system. These are the barriers that affect blacks from coming to Africa and staying, because even myself and others that come here from America, we come to Africa and they say, welcome home, but our visa stamp says you must leave in 90 days. Just because you're African American, you can show your DNA test that, hey, my paternal ancestry is from Gabon, Congo, Angola, Nigeria. That doesn't matter. You still have to go back to America in 90 days. And what I found interesting is that they have what's called the Overseas Citizenship of India card. That any Indian here, if they can prove that their ancestors was brought here as an indentured servant, or if they can prove that their grandparents or great-grandparents has an Indian origin, they can get this OCI card, which is almost like citizenship, and they can come back and forth. They can stay in India as long as they want. They can start a business. They can own property. They don't have to leave India after 90 days. If their surname is Patel, and they go to India and they say, I like it here, I want to stay here, I want to buy land, I want to get property, I want to start a business, I want to hire people, buy a house, they don't have to leave. They can go back to India and they can stay there. But African Americans, we can't do that. There's no overseas citizenship of Africa card that African Americans can get to come to Nigeria, South Africa, Angola, Gabon, Zimbabwe, and then we can come here and we can stay. And there's not one country in sub-Saharan Africa that will tell you, come back to my country, and if you come here, you get an automatic permanent residency card, you get automatic citizenship. There's no country in Africa right now that has said that. And the question is, why? Why has the people in sub-Saharan Africa, the presidents, why have they not said that we know you guys are the descendants of slaves taken from Africa? We're going to sign this legislation that says that if you are African descent and you can prove it, just period, that your DNA is connected to the continent, maybe even the country, then you can come to my country and get citizenship. You don't have to go back to America. That kind of move would shake up and frighten the British Crown and a lot of other nations, because these other nations, they don't want us to come back. When you fly to Angola, you see Russians, Chinese. When people fly from America to South Africa, when they come in and then they exchange their dollars at the Forex, the glass counter at the airport, you can ask them, who's coming here to South Africa if they're not black? And they say the French, the Germans, the Chinese, the Jews, Pakistani. They're just naming off all these other nations, and they say more than black people, more than African Americans, and they say yes, way more than you guys. Oh yeah, they're coming all the time. We see this all the time. We're exchanging their money into rands. So in all these countries in Africa, these other nations are freely coming to sub-Saharan Africa, setting up businesses, buying land, developing it. They're getting their residencies, their permanent visas. They're staying here. They're having kids. Their kids are going to school. They're not worried about renewing their 90-day visa because they're here. They're staying here. We have to pack up and get back on a plane and fly to America and endure the hell in America and the high cost of living in America when they know that our American dollars that we've been working so hard for in America, we have retirement, we have savings, we have businesses making money in America. Even the celebrities that make all this money in America, they can take this money easily and come to Africa and build so much. They can build an empire. They can build schools. They can buy land. They can develop it. They can do exactly what Stain City. Like I want to look at Stain City. I went around, took the tour. I said, how come black people can't do this? How come rich black people can't build the same thing that Stain City has? They can, but the struggle is, why would I come and invest in South Africa or any country in Africa if I'm having so much difficulty getting a permanent visa to stay? For my kids, my grandmother, my mother, it's such a hassle that there's an obvious agenda that they don't want us to know who we are. They don't want us to connect back to Africa. Hence the reason why this new movement, we talked about this like last year, that we're Indians, that we never were from Africa, that we're from America, and we have the FBA and the ADOS. All we care about is getting reparations. And we're Indians, we're from here. We need to build this land up, despite what our DNA tests said. Our DNA test can say Gabon, Congo, Angola, Ghana, Nigeria. They don't care about that. They say it's the white man's science. You can't trust his science. But we go to the doctor, we get treated, we get surgery, we get medications, we do all these things, but then we don't trust the very science that connects us back to Africa. And so there's a lot of things that's playing out right now. And what I see happening right now is that number one thing that they are trying to keep a close lock on is not letting us know who we are and not letting us return back to Africa. They're not making it any easy for us to return back to Africa. And honestly, when you look at the story of the prodigal son, we look at the story of Joseph and how he was sold into slavery into Egypt, and how when his brothers came to Egypt, they thought that Joseph was going to kill them or put them in prison. And Joseph said that I am in the place of God, and where I am, you will also be, and we are safe here. And that in the future, that God is going to visit you. And he said this in the last chapter of the book of Genesis. And if you understand how Hebrew operates, and I touched on this in one of my lessons on H2N. The reason why he said in the last chapter that surely, he said twice, he said, surely God will visit you, because God promised that he will bring us into the land that he promised Abraham. And when Joseph died, they made sure that they took his body and the body of Jacob, and they buried him in the land of Canaan. They didn't stay buried in Egypt. And when you break down the Hebrew word for visit, because it says I will visit you. When you break it down to the core level, it means that we need to leave in Exodus and go back to our homeland. And this is gonna really give an example. In the Hebrew story of the Exodus, when the Israelites left Egypt, the first place that they went to was the wilderness of Sin, or the Sinai wilderness. And this is where they stayed at Mount Sinai for a year. And while they were at Mount Sinai is when Moses got the 10 Commandments on the mountain. The word Sinai in English is Sinai. In the Bantu language, in Togo and Ghana, they say the word si na yi, si na yi, si na yi. In the Ewe language in Togo and Ghana means we escape there. We escape there, meaning that we escape Egypt to Mount Sinai. This is the first place that the Israelites left, and they encamped. They traveled for 3 months, and they got to the Mount Sinai, and they said, okay, we're here. Let's settle here. And they settled here for a year. If you say the word se na ye, meaning S-E instead of S-I, it means law given here. Law given here. The law of Moses given here. Where? Se na ye, Sinai. In English, we just say Sinai. If you say the word different with a change of the vowel, it means law is life. Law is life. The Bantu way of life is the Torah way of life. It means circumcision. You can go to the mountain and circumcise. It's like Joshua took the Israelites to Mount Gilgal, and he circumcised the boys. And then after the circumcision ritual, they came down from the mountain. When you look at the different things that, a cleansing ceremony after people die, shaving your head off when it's a death. These are the things that's in the Bible. Baptism, purification, dipping, going into a river, going underneath the water, submersion, cleansing. All these things are in the Bible. And so when you look at the stories are actually embedded in the ancient Hebrew and the Bantu languages. So if in the Ewe language, you can say, you say, how do you say Adam? They say Adim, A-D-I-M. What does that mean? And they say it means he looks like me. God made Adam in his own image, so Adam looks like God. And I said, did the white man teach you this vocabulary and language and meaning of this word? They said, no, we already had this. This was already in our vocabulary. And I said, well, how do you say Eve in your language? And I said, is it EVE? He said, no, it's Kaya or Kawa, Chava. And you go to the Hebrew Strongs, you type in Hebrew word for Eve, like Adam and Eve, you'll see the same verb. And I said, well, it's the same word in Hebrew as it is in every tongue. And I said, what does it mean? And she says it means made from side, rib. I asked a brother from the Congo, he's a Bakongo, but he's from Angola. I said, how do you say priest in your language? He said Zabak. And I said, Zabak? I said, well, Zabak in the Hebrew Strongs means to slaughter for sacrifice. Zabak means priest in the Bantu, Bakongo, or Kikongo language. But in the Hebrew, Zabak means to slaughter for sacrifice, which is what priest does. When you look at the word Nsingi in the Kikongo is how you say Abraham. And I said, okay. I said, it's not Abraham. But he said, but it means Abraham. And I said, well, what does it mean? He said, you got to break down each root. Nsingi, father of many nations. I say, well, what? Then they say, Nsinga means righteous, pious. Abraham, he was righteous. He was a pious man. If you change the last letter or change a vowel, now you have the word for Sarah. And the word for Sarah sounds almost similar to the word for Abraham in the Singi, and it means sister. Abraham, half sister, was his wife also, Sarah. So when we look at the evidence, like when I put in the movie and the books, the DNA evidence, the linguistic evidence, the language, the evidence of the customs and traditions, the dreadlocks. In Nigeria, they call it dada locks, dada. And when a child is born, if his hair starts to lock up immediately, then they say he's a gifted child. He's special to God. He's consecrated to God. He has to be consecrated to God, meaning that he can't do certain things that other kids can do. You can't cut his hair until a certain time period has passed. The strength is in his hair. He can't do this. He can't. These are all things that we see in the Bible with Samson, with a lot of things were in the Bible we call the Nazarite vow, with locks. And so when we look at all these things, and I break these all down in the books, in the movies. When you look at the Greek Septuagint, it says in Deuteronomy, I think 14, it says that when the Lord says, when you get into the land of Canaan, or Israel, these are the animals you can eat, and these are the animals you can't eat. One of the animals that it says that you cannot, I think it says you can't eat in the Bible, is called a camel opard. A camel opard. In the Greek, the word camel, Kamel, is a camel. The word pard, Pard, is a leopard. Now we know a camel has a long neck and camels are pretty tall, and we know a leopard has spots. So what animal in Africa has a long neck and has spots?
It's a giraffe.
It's a giraffe. So in the Greek lexicon, the word for giraffe is camel opard. In the Greek Old Testament Septuagint, in Deuteronomy 14, it says that we can eat these certain things and we can't eat these certain things. In the Greek Septuagint, it says the word rhinoceros. And in the Latin, in English, it says unicorn. In rhino is nose. Kuros is a horn. A rhinoceros has a horn on his nose. So when you get a rhinoplasty, you get a nose job. So when the Greeks had the word rhinoceros in the original Old Testament translation, they acknowledged that in the land of Canaan, that there were rhinoceroses. There's no rhinoceroses in Israel. There's no giraffes in Israel. When Samson left the territory of Dan, he went down to Timnah and he killed a lion with his bare hands. King David, he was tending to his father Jesse's flock as a child, and a lion had got one of the sheep, and David killed it. He says, I killed it. Lions are not in Israel. Neither are the animals the lions prey on. A lion has to prey on animals that suit the way that it's built. A lion's not going to prey on a rabbit, or a dog or a cat. The lion eats the wildebeest, the African buffalo, giraffe, zebra. It can take down an elephant. I think the elephant's only main animal predator is a lion, other than a human. The lion will take down a hippopotamus. So none of these animals are in Israel. So what are lions doing in the Bible if they're not seen in Israel? Even when you look at the ivory tusk that made up the whole palace of King Ahab. King Ahab was the 7th king of Israel. He was married to Jezebel. They said he had a palace made out of ivory. Ivory comes from the elephant. There's no elephants in Israel. So how did King Ahab of Israel build a palace made out of ivory? When you look at the ephod, where the priest had to wear a breastplate with 12 stones. Each stone, ruby, onyx, sapphire, blah, blah, blah. All these stones that God told the Israelites to get for the high priest, for Aaron and his sons. All these stones are in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. The acacia wood, the shittim wood that's used to make the Ark of the Covenant, and then the Ark of the Covenant was overlaid with gold. Does Israel have gold mines? No. When the Jews want to mine gold and diamonds and precious metals, they come to Africa. But Israel is a major refiner of diamonds. They refine the diamonds and they ship them out. So when we look at all these things in the Bible, actually when you read it, you have to analyze it and say, wait a minute. I said, although it reads European and it sounds European, all of these things are actually here in Africa. In a lot of the traditions and customs, even the Hebrew language that we see today, which is modern Hebrew, it comes from the Bantu root. So when we look at the word Jerusalem or Shalom, you go to the Kikongo language and you say, well, how does a Bakongo man say peace to another brother? Or if I say to you and we're leaving, I say, man, do peace. When you leave, be peace, or do peace, or be at peace. In the Kikongo language, they say Salembe, Salembe. Jerusalem, city of peace. Jerusalem, S-A-L-E-M. In the Kikongo, to do peace, it is like what I just said. Is Salembe, S-A-Lembe, L-E-M-B-E. So here you see the Salem is in there. Salembe, to do peace. So when we see the Arabs say salama or assalamu alaikum, when we see the Jews say shalom, when we see the word in English Jerusalem, well, before that even existed, the Kikongo people or the Bakongo people already had their word for peace. Salembe. how did they get that word? And how does it mean peace?
And where does the name Jerusalem come from? Because according to my understanding is ancient times there was no letter J.
Yeah, exactly. So so when you look at Jerusalem, they're going to tell you that, okay, well, how do you say city, city of peace? They're obviously going to say that Yeru or Jeru is where you get the word city of peace. But this is what we see today. What was it 3,000 years ago? In the Kikongo language, the way, if you say Mbanza, Lemba, it means city of peace. Mbanza, Lemba, city of peace. If you say Mbanza, Congo, because Congo also can mean God or the Most High, Mbanza, Congo means the city of God. Jerusalem was the city of God. So when we see that the capital of the kingdom of the Congo was Mbanza, Congo, and Congo in itself means a place of lions and leopards. Ngo, K-O, Ngo, means place of lions and leopards and panthers. Lions, leopards, and panthers are seen in Central Africa, in Africa. Leopards, they like to stay in the trees, they like to be in the jungle, they like to pounce on their prey. In ancient Egypt, they were seen as a symbol of power, the leopard skin. And the lion is the king of the jungle because the lion has no fear of any animal. I mean, the lion will take on anybody, a hyena, a tiger, you know, but the leopard is different because it has power, but it's also stealthy, you know. And so when you look at that word, Kongo, when you look at Mbanza, if you switch it around, just like you switch the Ngo, Kongo, we switch the word Mbanza to Nzaba. Nzaba means elephant. So we have Mbanza, M-B-A-N-Z-A. N-Z-A, M-B-A means elephant. N-Z-A, M-B-I, Nzambi means God. So when you look at the interior of the word Mbanza, Congo, it means the city of God and the place of lions, leopards, panthers, and elephants. In the Congo, you have the forest elephant and the savanna elephant. And from the Congo, we see the Bantu people migrated from the north down to Zimbabwe, South Africa. So in Venda, to say drum, you say ngoma, ngoma, N-G-O-M-A. In the Shona language in Zimbabwe, it's the same thing. In the Congo language, it's the same thing. In Tanzania, it's the same thing. In Kenya, it's the same thing. So now you're seeing that we're going from South Africa to Central Africa, all the way up to close to Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt. We're traveling from Egypt and we're going all the way down. When you look at the drum that we play, and you look at ancient Egyptian drum, you're gonna see it looks the same.
I-S-A-N-G-O-M-A, Isangoma, traditional healers. And konje yini ngesilungu futhi linye igama lesangoma. Anyway, Isangoma, it's one of them, a gifted person who communicates with the ancestors, who also heals other people, and who does their deeds or their practices barefooted. They don't wear shoes.
Just like in the Bible.
Yeah.
The priests were barefoot in the temple.
Barefooted. Isangoma communicates and celebrates and goes through their processes with others hitting drums. around, hitting drums. Ngoma, as I did say earlier, means song. Isangoma is one of them. Izangoma, I-Z, which you call Z in America, Izangoma. It's in plural, right? It's many of them. Isangoma is one, Izangoma, it's many. The word Iza or Isa, separated from Ngoma. Ngoma is song. People of song. Why? Because everything they do it playing the African drum, which is indigenously and originally created through animal skin. That's what we call the African drum. Animal skin, all tied up underneath, it's hollow and open, and that's how it makes the sound. And when the rest of the others participate in this process of celebration, and when they're together, izangoma, what do? They dance. They have a good time by dancing, by singing in unison, clapping hands in unison, humming in unison, and playing that African drum. Because the more of them there are, and when they're practicing all of this and these chants and these humming together all at one in unison, that has got more power to communicate with the ancestors. That's why everything of theirs is organic, indigenous, pure. When they heal and they go to plants, trees, and all these things, if you go to a place called Gamaimai, or maybe let me say a place called Faraday, taxi rank, down in the CBD in Johannesburg, you're going to find a whole lot of traditional healers sitting down, selling different healing medicines to different people. What are these medicines? Are these in capsules? Are these no, these are just trees and plants that have just been cut up, and they're all over the floor, everywhere, all over that area. There's just many of these healers and many of these konje baba biza ngesizulu abantu abathengisa umuthi abalaphayo abalaphi. Okay, while you're still coming up with the name, all of them who sell all of that medicine, all of those healing things, none of it is in amagedla. It's just trees. These are just logs. These are just wooden things that are just all over. And when they give an instruction on how to heal yourself and how to take their medicine, different ways on how they can mix these different herbs together, but the only way on how you cook this medicine for it to heal you is with water, nothing else. No chemicals, no nothing. It's just these things. Sometimes they shred them, mix them together. Sometimes they chop them up, put them in a pot, water, boil the water. Soon as all of that nutrients that have come out of that wood mixes with that water, that's why they boil it. And then they can even throw away the wood, or they can even use the wood for something else. But then they can just extract all of that water. That's what they call medicine. So they heal with no chemicals. They only just use water. And when they do their processes, when they gather, when they celebrate, when they pray, it's always in unison. It's always with that African drum. They are barefooted. And when they are dancing, it's you see them when they that's our original culture, and it comes from way back in ancient times. But all the way up until today, when these people, izangoma, people of song, perform their rituals, it's with no chemicals, no guns, no electronic music, none of that. Everything is just pure and indigenous. It's just drums that are made of animal skin. It's water, it's wooden things, it's plants, it's everything is just nature. And they walk barefooted. And a lot of them just let their hair grow, they let their beards grow. And it's such an interesting culture to learn. And it's so beautiful for me to just sit for an hour and just hear you pour your heart out. It hurts me that a lot of our African American brothers and sisters don't have that gateway and that easy access. And the umbilical cord of their roots has just been cut off of them, and the names have been changed, the languages have been changed, and they've just divided and just made all these difficult rules to prevent all of you from coming home. And it's hurtful, it's painful, my brother. So what you're saying, I appreciate, and I'm learning. There's a lot of information that is out there. You don't know what is facts, what is lies. Other people don't come up with proof because anybody can broadcast on the internet. But when I listen to your stories, and I also think of our own culture and how we grew up, you can just hear there's a lot of similarities. Sorry, I wasn't trying to stop you. You can continue, bro.
You know, a lot of times I have said on the radio, SABC, other YouTubers, Pinamel, Gogo, I said, anybody that says, no, we're Egyptians. No, we've been here in South Africa for 10,000 years. We were already here. We didn't come from the north. There's no such thing as Hebrew. There's no such thing as Egyptian. We predate the Hebrews. We predate the Hebrew language, the Egyptian language. That came from us. I said, okay. I said, let's debate. Let's have a discussion. We can air it live. We can do it on YouTube. I've said this year after year in America. And there's a lot of different ethnic groups, Nigerians, Ghanaians, Ethiopians, Congolese, Gabonese, Ivorians. I said, I hear what you're saying, brother. Let's just debate. The one thing that man cannot change, man cannot come to South Africa or Zimbabwe or the Congo, and he can't change your DNA. He can't change your DNA. Your DNA is inside of you. He can defame something. He can steal this, take it here, display it in a museum, and say, "Oh, this came from Israel. It's here." He can get you to forget your heritage, your language, your script. He can change the lexicon to where now we have the Hebrew lexicon that they gave us, not the Bantu ancient lexicon that goes back thousands of years. But the one thing they can't change your DNA. If they can test the ancient DNA of Egyptian women, queens and pharaohs in ancient Egypt, if they can test the DNA of the Kush Empire, the kingdom of Kush, and the Kerma civilization, and the Napata civilization, and the Meroitic civilization in Sudan, and they could say, we see the DNA of these women from ancient Egypt, ancient Kush, even the DNA of the Pygmies and the Hadza and the Sandawe. We can see this DNA in the Bantu people's DNA, meaning that the women that are birthing the boys and girls, why do they have the DNA of ancient Egyptian women, ancient Kushite women, ancient Pygmies? Why can we see the DNA like down to the allele and the focus in the genes? Because on the DNA you have a long strand, you got genes, and the genes code for our eye color, our hair texture, our skin complexion. I said, why is it that we can see the same genes that are seen in South Indians, like in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Kannada, these areas, we can see their DNA. The same segment that gives them their melanin, their dark skin tones, we can see it in the Bantu people. We can't see it in these people over here that got dark skin, or these people over here that got dark skin, but we're seeing the same DNA sequences in the dark skinned Indians that are here in South Africa that are the same exactly like the Bantu people. This means that in ancient times, there was some intermingling going on. Now, the dark-skinned Indians that are in the South, they're usually the marginalized Indians. The ones in the North are the Aryans, like Gandhi and the president of India, the light skin. These Indians have a different DNA than the dark-skinned Indians. But when you look at the history of the dark-skinned Indians, their language is directly connected to the language of the ancient Babylonians, the ancient Assyrians, the ancient Elamites. If we look at the story of Abraham and Melchizedek and the king of Salem and the Israelites' invasions by the Assyrians, by the Babylonians, by the Persians, and how they intermixed with these people. They lived in these lands. They were exiled. Some of them stayed. Now we can start to see in our own DNA evidence that we weren't always in Nigeria. We weren't always in the Congo. We weren't always in South Africa. We were in ancient times in Egypt and Sudan. And we started migrating. We didn't go to Saudi Arabia. We didn't wander in the wilderness of Saudi Arabia. We didn't go to Israel. We went south. The birth of the Bantu nation started in ancient Egypt. A lot of the staffs that I see the Zulu people hold is ancient. It's from ancient Egypt. The staff with the ball on the top, the flail, the crook and the flail that the Egyptians used to have, the leopard skins that the Egyptian priests used to wear. You see this in Egypt. You see this in Sudan. You see this in Bantu people. And when you tie in all these things, even the language, like I can break down languages from different countries and break down how it is in Hebrew, exactly like it is in Bantu culture or Bantu language. We can have so much strong evidence that we say, wait a minute, we're pouring libations, we're pouring drink offerings to the ancestors, we're casting lots, we're sprinkling blood on people. Moses, he sprinkled blood on the children of Israel, and they gave an oath. They said, we will all follow the law. And he got some blood of an animal, he sprinkled it on the people. They're sacrificing animals, they're killing the animal, they're sprinkling the blood, they're sacrificing the animal, they're sacrificing the fat, they're sacrificing the flank of the left shoulder to the priest. They're doing all these things that are exactly in the Bible. And on top of that, their DNA connects them to the stories of the Bible as well. And the one thing that you cannot change is DNA. And like I say in the books, the DNA of the white Arab, the DNA of the white Jews can be connected to Central Asia, Russia, the Pontic Steppes, old Great Bulgaria, the Khazarian Kingdom. The Chinese know this. The Vikings knew this. The Persians knew this. And a lot of other nations that are Eastern philosophy nations, they have these ancient books in their own languages. The problem is that the etymology changes over time, so that the word Russia is not in our Bible. It's not in ancient historical books. The word India and China is not in ancient historical books. But they were called something else 2,000 years ago. If you go back far enough, now you can see in the Bible where the Bible says that Russia, China, India, the Arabs, the Jews, and select other nations are going to, in the future, they're going to invade the land of Canaan, the land of the Israelites. It says this in the Bible. You just have to know who they are today and connect them to who they are in the Bible. It says that they will come to the land of Canaan at a latter time, and they're going to come like a cloud to cover the land. They're going to cover the land like a cloud. They're going to disperse their people amongst sub-Saharan Africa. And it says that they're going to come to a land of unwalled villages where people are dwelling in peace, rest, and safety. And it says what they're going to do. It says that they're going to pray, plunder, and steal. What does it say in the Bible? It says they're going to steal the land and the mineral resources, including the livestock and the animals that you use to farm on the land. It says this in the Bible. And it tells us in the Bible, Israelites, or the people that are in the land of Canaan, Bantu people, it says, be thou on guard and be prepared, for in the latter years, these nations, Magog, Gomer, Meshach, Tubal, Cush, Put, the nations that are descendants of Put, they left Libya. They're now in the Sahel. They're in the Sahel. From Western Sudan, to Chad, to Niger, to Mauritania, to Mali, to northern Nigeria, northern Ghana, you see the Hausa, the Fulani, the Tuaregs, the Muslim Africans. Their DNA is different than the Bantu DNA. Who's courting the Sahel regions heavily? Russia and the Chinese. Who's coming here to buy up large amounts of land under the carbon credit scheme, blue carbon? Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, India, the Jews, a lot of European nations. They're coming here right now and they're buying large amounts of land. People don't know it, but they are. They're not coming here to just kick back and watch Netflix and just live a life. No, they're coming here to utilize the land for their advantage. And we may call it a fair deal, but in the Bible, it says that the Israelites were never to sell the land to foreigners. They were to keep the land for themselves so they can farm the land. And when they had each harvesting festival, Passover, Shavuot, Sukkot, they always harvested something each 3 times a year. And they had a festival. These are called Jewish holidays. And these other nations were not supposed to come and just plunder the land and make all these riches off of it and do what they want to do with it. They're not supposed to do that. But the Bible says that they were going to come. It says that these other nations will come and cast lots for my people and for my land. And they will divide the land and divide the people by casting lots. And it says this in the Bible, in the book of Joel. When you cast lots for a people or for a land, you sit down at the table and you just make a decision out of choice, out of whim, randomly. I want Gambia. I want Senegal. I want Nigeria. I want Congo. I want Angola. I want this. I want that. The French, the British, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the Germans, they all sit down at the table. I want this. I want this. I want this. I want this. How did they come up with what they want? They just casted their own lots. I want this. So when the Europeans came, they casted lots on God's land, the land of Canaan, and the people of the land. They said, this young man, he's healthy, he's fit, he has muscles. I want to take him, I want to take her. She looks like she can have some kids and breed more slaves. Let's get them all on a ship. Let's take them to the New World. So when they came, they did exactly what the Bible says they were going to do. They casted lots for God's land and his people. And in Genesis 15, it says that Abraham's seed will be in another land that they don't know about. And they will serve this nation and be under oppression by this nation for 400 years. And after 400 years, then it says, I will judge that nation. When we look at the nations that came to Africa to start the transatlantic slave trade, when they came to the Kingdom of the Congo, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the Belgium, the French, the Spanish, the Germans, all of these nations, they came and they had their way and they took the children of Israel to the Americas. But God said that these nations, including America, is going to be judged after 400 years. Do you know that after that, the first time that they logged the actual name of a slave, because whenever you buy a cow, you put like a brand on it.
Yeah. You burn it into the skin.
Yeah, or you stick something in the ear.
Yeah.
The first slaves that came in 1619, they didn't have no record of who they were. It was not until 1624 that they actually had a document, and it listed the new names of the slaves and their age, and it was like this doc, I forget what it was called. But this was in 1624 in Virginia. 400 years later, we're at 2024. And the big thing on social media is this eclipse that's happening in America. It's called the Great American Eclipse. And the first eclipse was in 2017. And all the cities that the eclipse went through was called Salem. It was like 7 cities named Salem that the eclipse went through. So people, when they looked up at the sky was dark in the middle of the day. And it went through all these cities called Salem. Salem means peace. 7 years later, here we are, April the 8th, there's going to be another eclipse. And it's going to come this way. And it's going through 7 cities named Nineveh. So 7 cities the eclipse is going to go through, and people in these cities called Nineveh are going to look up at the sky, and in the daytime it's going to go black. Nineveh in the Bible is the story about Jonah. Jonah, God, it's the first time that God told an Israelite to warn non-Israelite people or non-Israelite nation that they need to repent because they are a perverse and wicked generation. And if they didn't repent, that God was going to destroy the city of Nineveh. Jonah said, no, I'm not doing it. Jonah ran the opposite direction. He got on a boat. The boat capsized. Then the whale swallowed Jonah. And then Jonah was in the whale for like 3 days. And he said to God, if you let me live and survive, then I will do what you want me to do. So the whale spit Jonah up on the land, and he went to Nineveh to warn them that the wrath of God is coming to repent because of this wicked generation and sinful generation in the city. And God spared the city. He spared the city of Nineveh. Now the interesting is that we have 7 years of peace, or 7 years of Salem, and we got 7 cities, or a 7-year difference between Nineveh, which was wrath. When the eclipse makes the X over America, where it intersects on a city called Little Egypt. Little Egypt. That's where the intersection is at. And on the back of a US dollar bill, there's a pyramid, which is in Egypt. There's an obelisk. We call it the Washington Monument on the back of our dollar bill. Deuteronomy 28:68 says, and I will bring thee into Egypt again with ships, and there ye shall be sold for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall redeem you or clear you by payment. These are the curses of Israel. The curses of Israel foretold that the descendants of the Bantu people will be taken on ships and sold as slaves. And nobody would say, hey, those are my people from the Congo. Those are my people from Ghana. Let them go. Release them. We'll pay whatever you say we have to pay to release them from slavery. Nobody did that in America. Nobody in America, African Americans went through 400 years of oppression. Nobody said, hey, let us take them home. What do you need? What we got to give you to let them come back home? Nobody did that. In the Bible, it says, woe unto the people that allow their brethren to be sold into slavery and didn't call for them back home. But it warns God's people that we have to do what's right. Because the Bible says that in the last days that he is going to gather us back out of the land of our captivity into our ancestors' land. It's only talking about us. It's not talking about the Jews or other people. And the interesting thing is that when the thing makes the intersection like this is an X. That's an X. And an X in the Hebrew alphabet is called Tav. Tav, the symbol for Tav is the equivalent of the number 400 years. And the Hebrew Tav means sign. It means a sign. And the ancient symbol for the kingdom of the Congo is an X. And when you look at Kingdom of the Congo flag, it's an X. The first slaves that were taken from Africa were taken from the Kingdom of the Congo in what is today known as Angola. And a British privateer ship operating under a Dutch license a Dutch pirate. The Dutch said, "Here's your license. You're a pirate, so you have permission to intercept this Portuguese ship and take the slaves off the ship and put them on your ship and take them to the New World." This is what the British ship called the White Lion. The ship was called the White Lion, and he intercepted a ship, a Portuguese ship that had slaves taken from the Kingdom of the Congo, and he brought those slaves to Jamestown, Virginia, in 1619. When you look at the Leave the World Behind, have you seen that movie? Leave the World Behind?
No.
Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. In the movie, there's a scene where a large freighter ship comes up on the beach, and the people are just sitting there. And they say,
Oh, I've watched it. Leave it
Yeah.
on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Leave the. Oh, is that by Michelle Obama and Barack Obama?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. Okay.
They're sitting there, Julia Roberts, they're sitting there, and it's not until the ship is almost on the beach that they say, "Oh, we need to run." When they run, the ship on the side says White Lion. On the radio, when he's driving, he turns the radio and it says 1619 on the radio. When Julia Roberts leaves the grocery store, it says point something, Point Comfort. Point Comfort is the city where the slaves were taken from, the Kingdom of the Congo, and brought to Virginia. The same city, Point Comfort. So in that movie, they show you an eclipse in the beginning. They show you like a celestial eclipse. In that movie, they are showing you a lot of signs that go back to slavery.
I have to go rewatch it.
Yeah, you got
I
to.
watched it from a different mind. So I have to go rewatch it with all this info.
In the movie, it's about a cyber attack that hits America, and it takes out the whole grid and electricity.
Yeah.
And this all happens in America, but the movie is not Leave America Behind, it's Leave the World Behind. So a lot of people, at least in my opinion, I think now is the time that we need to start planning and preparing to leave America. Russia, Iran, and China are doing joint military naval drills together. China is trying to do things in Taiwan. North Korea is trying to push up into South Korea. If any of these things start to pop up, North Korea, South Korea, China, Taiwan, Russia, China, and Iran attack the United States, United States is going to be fighting battles all over the world. We're already dealing with an immigration problem. Immigrants are coming in like 12,000 a day. Not just Latinos, but Russians, Arabs, Indians, all nationalities. Some of them are connected to terrorist groups, and they're just coming in 12,000 a day. And they don't know New York, D.C., California, they don't know how to deal with this crisis. They don't know how to deal with the crisis. And so the American fabric of society is declining. Now is the time where Africa is going to be seen as like the Noah's Ark. That if you want to survive long term, you need to get your foot in Africa. You need to get the main thing that God gave the Israelites, his gift to the Israelites was a land covenant. And with the land, he told them to farm the land, to raise animals, husbandry. And the sad thing is, and I'm not going to take much of your time. Sad thing is that today I was thinking, who has the power in Africa or America? Because when you look at the economies of Africa, when I go to Woolworths, Pick and Pay, Spar, Discam, Clicks, Macro, Game, the mall. When I go to, if you go to any store, you go to the liquor store, the gaming store, anywhere you go, the filling station, the car wash, anywhere you go in your daily routine of your life, the people that own these businesses are not black. So the question is, if they were to all of a sudden shut everything down, they just say, we're shutting it all down. Now, mind you, they already have all this money that they made It's in their bank account. And they could buy islands, they could buy land, they can just live, they can just survive on this money unless money is not any value. But if they were to shut down all these businesses in Africa, in Johannesburg, what would people do in Johannesburg? Because Johannesburg has a lot of people. What would they do if they shut everything down? You couldn't go to work, you couldn't make money, you couldn't go to the gas station, you couldn't go to the grocery store, you couldn't go to the liquor store, you couldn't go to school, you couldn't go to the mechanic, you couldn't do anything because they shut it all down. What would we do? If you're not practicing subsistence farming, if you don't have a farm, you don't have your own animals, you don't have your own chickens that's laying eggs, if you don't have your own solar panels and borehole and all these things to keep going, what do you do? When the electricity is off, the telecommunications is gone, the internet's gone, everything is done. They shut it all down. Either you're going to try to figure out how to survive, and if it's too much, you're gonna start complaining, you're gonna start resorting to violence, or you're gonna beg and say, please, turn back the electricity, please, turn back on the internet, please, open the grocery stores, please, open the filling stations so we can get petrol, please, open the liquor store so we can get liquor. People are gonna beg and say, please resume the normal way of life that we had. And those that are in power, they can say, okay, we can do that, but you're gonna have to obey. You're gonna do exactly what we tell you to do. And in the scripture, when the Bible says that all people will end up worshiping the beast system, no man shall buy or sell, save he the name, the number, or the image of the mark. No buying, no selling, no transactions. It says you will obey. It actually says worship in the King James Bible. In the Hebrew, the word that we see worship in our Bible, it really means to obey. So there's going to come a force or an entity or a structure that's going to control everything.
It's already here.
It's already here.
It's a new world order.
Yes, and if you do not obey, then you're going to be left out in the cold shivering. So unless we start to go back to the ancient path, to where we had our own land, we farmed it, we raised animals and chickens, and we could survive. We have our own water, we have our own electricity through the sun. In Wakanda, they have vibranium, but we have everything we need here. But we have let these other nations take control of everything. And on top of that, they've used religious indoctrination, they've used educational indoctrination, political indoctrination, social indoctrination, to keep us in a state of like a zombie. And a zombie in the movies, all they do is just roam around, and then they want to feed. They're okay, so they're roaming around, and then they hear something, they move, and then now they want to eat, so they run to wherever they think the food is at, because all their instincts is to roam around and to eat. And this is what I see in America and in Africa. We're not looking at the long game. We're looking at the short game. We're looking at how we're going to feed our belly. But the other nations, they're looking at the long game. That's why they control the media. They control marketing, advertising. They control the supermarket chain. They control entertainment. They control hotels. They control casinos. I would say, well, where's Sun City? I keep hearing about Sun City. And I say, oh, okay, well, who owns Sun City? Google it up. Same people own Monte Casino.
Gentleman you spoke about earlier, Solomon Kesner.
Amusement parks, where kids are going on amusement rides and they're trying to get the toy by hitting the balloon. All of this entertainment. At the end of the day, we're done with the entertainment. Let's go to the hotel. Who owns the hotel? You know, we want to go to the theater. Who owns all of this? So I'm in South Africa, going to Monte Casino, looking at, Kung Fu Panda, and I see all these people in Monte Casino. at the arcade, at the bowling alley, at the laser tag, at all the restaurants. Then I go stand in line at my tuxedo and I see all these Indians and Chinese and black people, and I'm just thinking, all this money, who's making this money? All for what? For our entertainment, because we want to be entertained. But at the end of the day, if all this stuff shuts down, nobody likes to be broke. Nobody likes to be hungry. Nobody likes to not have the internet. Nobody does not like to have the electricity. Nobody likes these things. So we have to start thinking ahead, start thinking at the long game, and understand that the agendas that they put in place, they've carefully thought these things out way, way back. The first thing they knew is they knew that we were already surviving in Africa. We had kingdoms, chiefs, priests, sangomas, diviners, elders. And they said, we're gonna send the missionaries in. Get them, start to look at white Jesus and give them this Bible and tell them, your reward is in heaven, but you gotta go through hell on earth and serve your masters, all these things. And then they send the education system in. Then they erase your culture. Then they say these things are pagan. So all these things they've set in place. And here we are today. And this is the reason why I say that the movie Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America, in the books, there's 4 books, and they're not allowed here. And I try to get the books in exclusive books. I tried this in 2022. In all the bookstores, they emailed me and said, every last exclusive bookstore, they said no. They said they don't want to carry this book in the exclusive books. So the only place you can get the books, I think, is on Take-A-Lot. And so you can get the books on takealot.com, the Hebrews to Negroes books. But as we speak right now, I'm actively in a fight against the South African Jewish Board of Deputies because they want to ban my movies here. And when I say Wake Up Africa, when I say Wake Up Black America, we cannot, you can say, oh, it doesn't say Wake Up Africa. Well, Black America can't connect back to their roots no matter how far back you go without coming back to Africa. So
have you tried to debate or have a conversation with the SA Jewish Board of Directors?
Social media, even on SABC, and some other radio stations, I said on air. Yeah. I said I will debate any. One of the guys, he gave me a lot of pushback, and he wanted to get the last word, and I was like, whatever. I said, I don't care what you say. I said, bring me any Jewish scholar, rabbi, Christian pastor, Muslim imam, Pan-African, African spiritualist, whatever they believe in. Let's sit down and have a debate. Let's have a discussion. Let's stop talking and let's all sit down and just go through everything. Lay it all on the table. Because at the end of the day, I'm tired of people running. It
doesn't make sense to censor information.
No, it doesn't.
It's information
it doesn't.
People want to learn.
It doesn't
hurt nobody to learn.
It doesn't.
The truth, man,
I mean, in America, I've contacted Dr. Umar Johnson. I've contacted Shaka Bars. I contacted Young Pharaoh. I contacted Brother Polite. I contacted Dane Calloway. We try to contact so many people and say, hey, let's have a discussion, brother. Let me come up to the stage. Let's talk. Let's sit down. I said, I even talked to Moponga 2 or 3 times. I said, you're a pastor, you're a bishop, you trained in theology in Michigan. I said, I'm the son of a pastor. I'm a book author, filmmaker. I've studied, done extensive research. Let's sit down, let's have a discussion. Let's start to talk about these things because black people are looking at YouTube and this is where they're getting their information from. So they don't know, they're hearing this, they're hearing that, they're hearing this. And so when you hear leaders saying these things, then they're gonna gravitate to what they think that they say, okay, this guy's making sense, this is what we should do. But at the end of the day, we all can't be, we can't have like a million chiefs because then what direction we're supposed to go into. And that's the problem, that as long as we don't have one direction we're going on to a positive path, then the other nations, they're not worried about what we do. They're not worried about how many YouTube channels, how many people we interview. They don't worry about how many subscribers and views we get. We can monetize, we can make this money from Google and YouTube. But at the end of the day, if you are a threat to what they don't want to happen, then they're going to ban you. They're going to ban you from YouTube. They're going to ban you from Facebook. They're going to defund you. They're going to take away your GoFundMe. They're going to shadow ban you. They're going to tell you, no, you can't have this movie here. You can't have this book here. It's banned in America. It's banned in South Africa. Anywhere you go, Mr. Dalton, we're going to try to ban you. So you can't share this information. The very same platform that we use, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we don't own it. They own it. They allow us to see these things, and if we get out of line, it's community guideline strikes. It's take the video down. One strike is channel takedown, suppression of your views. This is what they do. So at the end of the day, when I look at all the content creators and filmmakers in South Africa, why can't we start our own streaming platform to where there's apps on iOS, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon, Samsung Tizen, Roku? Why we can't do that? I'm doing it. If I'm doing it and my content is seen worldwide, meaning that somebody in America and South Africa, they see the same content. Not like in America, and I only see Queen Sono and Blood and Water. That's it. But when I come to South Africa, I see all this stuff. Like, what? I didn't see this in America. We can do the same thing with our own platform. And how do we market our own platform? We use social media influencers like you, Panuo, Gogo Scatini, people that have followers on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Filmmakers, content creators, when we make our content, we hope that Netflix gives us a distribution deal. We hope that we can get it on Amazon. We hope that it can be taken on by Showmax. Otherwise, if it doesn't get on these three platforms, where are you gonna put it at? YouTube? And make no money? Your copyright film is on YouTube for anybody to see for free, and then they can rip it and they can just email it to everybody, and now your content is online for free. And you spend all this money in production to make this film. So people that are content creators and filmmakers, I don't understand why we don't try to do this in South Africa. I don't know if it's a barrier issue here because when you look at platforms like Dame Dash TV or like the Zeus Network, the Zeus Network is a prime example. This black guy used to be editing, he used to do production. He said, I'm gonna stop trying to get on Netflix and Amazon. I'm gonna do my own thing. He started his own streaming platform. Now he has 1 million subscribers paying $5 a month. $5 times 1 million is $5 million. Zeus Network is making $5 million just off of subscriptions every month. So he can do his own production. He can fund his own production, and if somebody from Amazon or Netflix or HBO Max or Showtime or Paramount, if they say, hey, can we license that series you just did? Can we license it season 1? And he says, yes, you can. How much you want? And he tells them how much you want. Now he's getting paid to have his seasons or series of episodes on another platform, but he still has his own platform that he has his own subscribers. And he's getting $5 million a month for his own content. Netflix is never going to pay us $5 million a month. They're not going to do that. Netflix will give you a one-time payment. Whoop. We got exclusive rights for 2 years to show this movie, and we're only going to give you this. No matter if we show it in America, in South Africa, and it makes all this money, or it gets all these views, we're going to give you, 500,000 rands or 1 million rands. That's all you get. That's all you get. Take it or leave it. He said, okay, I'm going to take it. But not knowing that we can do the same thing. We've gotten so used to YouTube.
I agree, man. We can do the same thing.
We can do the same thing. And
how well is H2N TV.com doing?
It's doing good. It's not doing as good as H2N TV. I can live off of H2N TV. With 8 kids and a wife. Right now in South Africa, I'm not going to work. I'm not checking it at a 9 to 5. I'm not getting up at 3 in the morning or 5 in the morning, going to work for another company and abiding by all their rules. Like, I simply make movies, I make content, and I put it on there, and I make sure all the app agreements are in place so that every year you renew or you do the things that Apple, Google, Android, Roku, Amazon, all their agreements, make sure that the apps are still there, make sure the content is clean, make sure the content is nice, it's interesting, and as long as you advertise and market it, then you get subscribers every day. It don't matter if it's 5 subscribers a day, 10, 100,
Great
1,000.
idea, man. Thank you for inspiring me. I'm gonna go do the same thing.
We gotta do the same thing.
I'm gonna go do the same thing. Thank you very much.
You gotta
for
do that.
inspiring me, bro. Like I'm thinking about it now. It doesn't make sense.
No.
Like this content, we're just all giving it to YouTube and all these other guys.
3 camera angles, editing, production, audio. Man, we're doing like a movie production, like Tyler Perry Studios. We're putting it on YouTube.
Free, bro.
Yeah, we got red cameras, we got Blackmagic cameras, we got Lumix, we got Sony's, we got Canon R5s, lapel mics, Rode mics. We got the whole setup, the lights and everything. We got the content. We got the knowledge.
It's our stories. It's
our stories. We just upload to YouTube and hope that, please don't give me a strike. Please don't give me a strike. Please don't demonetize me.
Flip and start our own thing, man.
Yeah.
And I love the subscriber model. Because once it's affordable,
exactly,
and it's good content,
they keep
you
coming.
will get that niche of people that will subscribe, that will keep coming. And you're right, as long as you keep marketing it, you keep getting, even if it's 1 subscriber a day, your subscribers are growing.
Yeah.
And I like the subscriber model where you charge. Like what you're talking about, the other guy is like $5 per month.
Yeah.
Like you can even charge $1 a month.
Yeah.
With just 100,000 subscribers, which we have, how much is that? That's $100,000. That's like almost 2 million rands.
Yeah.
We're sleeping on money, bro.
You
Like
sleep
I
on
love
money.
this interview because it's just woken me up. Like we have to go put up a website, subscriber model, get our content in there. Why must we keep on throwing people to Patreon to watch the rest of this, to go to pay? No. Let's use the YouTubes and then to promote to go to our platforms.
I did it. I know how to do it. I've done it.
Thank you.
I did this 2 years ago. And so when YouTube shut me down, I said I got H2N TV. I ain't worried. YouTube shut me down. I already had H2N TV. I was already telling people, go to H2N TV, go to H2N TV, subscribe today. And I got categories. I got music. I got, I can have my own category. You can have your own category. Gogo, Panul. In each category, you can track the analytics on who's watching, how long are they watching. Or you can have stuff that you can have like season 1, episode 1 through 10, and the whole season is like $10 or $20. And if they want to buy each episode one by one, then it's like $1. Just like in America, it's the same way. It's the same way. And people, when they get tired of looking at Netflix, they go to Amazon. They go back and forth, and they just keep clicking to see, okay, I've seen this already, I've seen this already, and I say, okay, I'm tired of this, let me go to Showmax. It's something new on Showmax. They go to Showmax, and they say, okay, I'm tired of Showmax, there's something new on Netflix or Apple TV. And they just keep doing, and they're paying every month. Netflix, Showmax, Apple TV, Amazon, they're paying a monthly fee.
We need some of that money, bro.
We gotta get the money back.
We gotta get it back, bro.
Yeah.
I like the idea, thank you.
And the good thing is that H2N TV, I get, because I started it in America, I get paid in dollars. But I can have subscribers from South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, Israel, Jordan, China, Australia, United Kingdom, because I can see the analytics. I don't have a lot of subscribers from South Africa because I can see United States is at the top. I go all the way down the list. South Africa is like 3 people subscribe. So we can do the same thing. At the end of the day, it's marketing, advertising. If you have a good product and you have marketing, advertising at your fingertips, and you got all these subscribers, all these viewers looking at your stuff every day, just keep hammering them, like the commercials. H2N TV, H2N TV, Spoof TV, Spoof TV, Spoof. And then eventually they're gonna say, hey, this is dope content, and let's subscribe. And you got all the apps, and on YouTube you can give them like a sneak peek, a snippet. You can say, if you want more, you got to go here. If you want more, you got to go. If you want this exclusive interview, you got to go here. And now you're training their brain to say, man, Spoof, come on, man. okay, let me go here, and they pay the money. They're gonna pay.
They want to pay. If it's good enough, they'll pay.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, what are we doing right now other than going to work, eating, and looking at TV? It's all entertainment. Is entertainment? I think right now is the last step of people that can make money and not have to work really hard 9 to 5 for it. It's all entertainment, movies, music, content, series, episodes.
The stats now say South Africans right now, globally, they stay the longest on the internet.
Yeah.
You can Google it, guys. Google it now. Like South Africans, you stay the longest on the internet than any other country in the world. So if you're selling any product or if you got content, you must know your market is online. So that's why I love ideas like these.
Yeah.
Why not just channel these hundreds of thousands of views or crowds of people to our own channel?
I've been saying this for so long.
Hundreds of thousands of views on these YouTube platforms. Even if just 5% of that.
Yeah.
Or even 2% of that paying on our own platforms. Growing every day.
If you do a TikTok post or an Instagram post and you have 1 million people that seen that post, imagine if those 1 million people seeing you or hear you say, hey guys, if you like my content, you want to see more of me and the things I got going on, go to H2NTV.com, go to Spoo TV. Now you got 1 million people that just saw your post and now you also put in their brain, subscribe to H2N TV or Spoo TV. And now they're going to say, whoo. They're going to go to it. They're going to go to your website. They're going to say, oh, it's only 50 rands. Subscribe. And if you got 10% of 1 million people, if you got only 10% of that 1 million that decided to subscribe based off their post, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
That's good money.
It is.
Not even 10, bro. Like even 1% in dollars. It's good money because it's every month. It's passive income, bro.
We are in a stronghold to these entities. They want us to they want to stay on YouTube to the end. They want us to get every other day, another interview, another post, another topic, another discussion.
And they pay us nothing, bro.
They pay us nothing.
Nothing.
And we gotta edit. Somebody has to edit the stuff. Somebody has to add the intro. Somebody has to make sure the audio is clean. We have to have the lights. We have everything like a production show. We might as well be doing a movie.
Thank you for this interview.
This right here could be a scene to a movie. Like this
just woken me up.
Yeah, this is a scene to a movie.
Yeah.
Me and you could be sitting down watching TV.
Yeah.
Doing like this. That's one scene.
Yeah.
Now we go to another scene. We got the light. We got everything we need to do a scene in a movie.
We are walking content ourselves.
Yeah.
When we open our mouths, 100,000 people watch these things.
All you need is somebody with a gimbal to follow you. You leave here, get in your car, you go home. You're at the radio station. You got somebody with a camera just looking at you. And then when you get done, you get in the car. You're talking on the phone. You go get something to eat. This reality TV, like the Kardashians. If they want to see what you're doing in your life, whether it's you, Gogo, Penuel, Ron, Dalton. You hire somebody to get a camera and just walk around with you. You could have cameras in your house. You get up in the morning, make breakfast, make a phone call. Okay, I'm coming to the office. Here I come. Engage with people like right here. That's content.
Content, yeah.
That's content.
Because there's somebody out there who would want to watch it again.
They want to watch your content.
And over, yeah.
They're just sitting at home. They want to know what your life is like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ronald Dalton Jr., it's the second round. I'm looking forward to the third round. Thank you so much, bro.
No problem.
That was beautiful, man. I think there's so many other things to talk about. I didn't say much today. I was just here to learn even more. Let's promote the new movie that just came out 2 months ago.
Yeah, so the movie it's called Hebrews to Negroes 3, Sound the Alarm. And it's volume 1 and volume 2. It is on H2N, H2NTV.com. And I also have a second platform that I can tell you about. It's called Hebrews to Negroes TV.com. Hebrews to Negroes TV.com. So anybody in the world, they got 2 sites to go to watch the content, the movie. Click on it, rent, buy, subscribe. We don't need Amazon. We don't need YouTube. I mean, if we got our own content and we make our content, we put it on our platform. We just need to tell people where to go to get it. And the other nations, they hate when we start our own thing. They hate it because then they start to lose control. Because at the end of the day, if we can't contain our followers, especially if we got their emails. If we got their emails, man, all you got to do is say, new movie. new movie, email blast, email blast, email blast. And every email they get, oh man, here's a new movie, oh, new series, oh this. So now they don't have to miss your series. They don't have to say I missed it. YouTube took it down. I don't know what you just had. You emailing them every other day, every week, saying I got new this, new that, new this, new that. So Hebrews 10:3 sound the alarm. It's not on Amazon yet, but you can get it on Amazon in America, DVD, and you can stream it today, just like you can stream the other movies, part 2 and part 1, and a lot of the content that I have on H2N TV is even more in depth to what we talked about today in terms of the breakdown of the Bantu language in Hebrew, the traditions and customs, how it connects back to the ancient Israelites. All these things are in there, and I'm not the only one talking on H2N TV. I got people from Kenya, from Ghana, from other countries that are teaching and breaking down these things as it is in their custom and how it's connected to the ancient Israelites. From the Congo to Angola, and in the movie Hebrews 10 Sound the Alarm 3, I got a brother from the Congo that's teaching, Congo, Angola. I got a sister from Cameroon, and they're breaking it all down for you so that we can see how our heritage and our ancestry connects back to the ancient Israelites. And the reason why I called it Sound the Alarm is because in part 3, it's coming up in 3 months, I'm going to show you the people that are going to be a part of Gog and Magog's army. The Battle of Armageddon, the Battle of Harmageddon is a list of nations that are going to, in the last days, wage war on the Bantu Israelites in their land. And I'm breaking down who they are, where they come from, how can we prove it with DNA, language, ancient history, and more. So you want to make sure that you tune in to that movie, because that movie is going to show you why, right now, as we speak, why is Russia interested in Africa? Russia's not interested in China. Russia's not interested in America. Russia's not interested in Scandinavia, Norway, and Finland. Russia's not interested in Tajikistan and in Kyrgyzstan and Siberia. Russia, India, China, the Arabs, the Jews, the Germans, the French, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the United Kingdom, the Dutch, the Belgium, Luxembourg. All these nations are flying in, and their interests are in sub-Saharan Africa. That should tell you something. If Africa is the world's macro or a supermarket, they're all coming here to get something. They have their own homeland. They're not satisfied with their own homeland. They're coming here, while many people in Africa are going to Europe. They're going to America. It is crazy because we see people in Africa want to go back to UK. They want to go to America. They want to go to Thailand. They want to go to China. They want to go to Dubai. They want to go to these other countries. But why are we trying to go to these other countries and they're trying to come here and live their best life in their paradise in this land while we're at the bottom? So we have to understand that at the end of the day, you cannot have an oppressed people without an oppressor. You cannot have a slave without a slave master. You cannot have good without evil. You cannot have hot without cold. You cannot have love without hate. So in every instance, there has to be an opposite. So in the case of me, I speak the truth, and the adversary or the opponent of truth, the word Satan means adversary, opponent. And Satan is the adversary and the opponent of God and his chosen people. And the Bible says that Satan is the father of lies. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And we are a people that have been killed, we've been enslaved, we've been destroyed, we've been lied to. And the only thing that I'm doing is offering the truth. And there are forces against me that do not want this truth to hit South Africa, America, or the rest of Africa.
Ronald Dalton Jr., thank you very much, my brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time, man.
No problem.
I'll see you soon for round 3.
Okay.
See you guys on the next video. Danko.
Hush-up moment. So anytime it's a hush-up moment, that's when you really need to like look up and see what's really going on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, this is how they did Kanye West. You know what I mean? They were all in the same wavelength. They was all inspired about the truth. So Israelites, that's number one. You know, they call them to bring awareness to Hebrews and Negroes, just to let them know, like, this is a hush-up moment. So anytime it's a hush-up moment, that's when you really need to like look up and see what's really going on.
Jonathan, by the way, he's the guy that sent Kyrie Irving, where he sent the link of a documentary to watch that was freely available for people to watch on Amazon. He's the one that gave him the list of things he would have to do to be welcomed back into the NBA, which I don't think Kyrie Irving ever did it, but it's that guy. Basically, if you still like your career, I will tell you whether or not we accept your apology for the nothing that you did. It's disgusting, it's despicable, and Jamie Foxx should not have apologized because it's not what he meant when he said it. Men, stop apologizing for it. Your words are meaningless if you don't actually mean it. You didn't do the thing, so how could you mean the apology?
This is what is here. It's on a public platform. Did I do anything illegal?